My name is Greg Lehman, originally from Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, and moved here to St. John's in 2009. I went to MUN for business and started the company in 2011. Currently the owner of Lehman Signs. We call it full service sign shop, design, manufacture, install and service, wide format printing, metal fabrication, woodworking, so anything from interior to exterior signage. One of the first things I remember engraving was the lid to my MacBook. And this old, like one of the first, I think it was one of the first like aluminum MacBooks, and I engraved the entire lid of it with this random pattern. And you know, at the time, you just put things online, and whether it was Pinterest or Instagram, and people, you know, would see it and you know, kind of get work that way. And of course, this was out of my apartment on Newtown Road. Just, you know, had the laser up there and just didn't know any different, right? Just what I was doing. And I think one of my first paying jobs was laser engraving a logo, an initial logo into floor mats for a guy who was now one of my best friends. And at the time didn't really know him, just someone told him that he kind of knows everybody, and someone told him that I had a laser and he just wanted these car mats engraved with this little logo he had drawn up. And I think it was 40 bucks, and just, I was doing anything. If someone called us today for something, we don't do that type of stuff, but it's just funny how that turned out. Lehman Signs is located at 77 Black Marsh Road in St. John's. We moved here in March of 2020. We currently have about 22,000 square feet of space. When I was 15 in high school, I started at a work term placement in Halifax with Eye Candy Signs. And that was my first kind of exposure to the sign industry. Learned from the ground up, did things from design to running the printers. From there, the work term turned into a part-time, full-time job. You know, once coming to school, I didn't think I'd be going back into the sign industry. A couple years into the business program, there's a program called Launchpad. I was in that program doing a kind of like a software system for restaurants that didn't end up going anywhere. And at the time, that was kind of ending. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Thought back to working at Eye Candy, and something we always wanted to do there was do laser engraving and cutting. Decided then to stay in Launchpad, which is kind of like a small business incubator, and purchased a laser engraver. Bought the laser, it showed up, and ran it out of my apartment, just kind of upstairs in the landing outside. And from there, there was no business, I was just trying to engrave, you know, basically make and engrave whatever I could, and whatever anyone would, you know, pay me to do, really. Mainly things that I wanted to make for myself. And then I would take pictures of that, put it on Instagram. Obviously, Instagram at the time was pretty much brand new. And slowly people started to see that. And then moved into the Launchpad program, which is in the basement of the Inco building at MUN. When I finished school, I decided that I was busy enough and I was gonna make a go of it and, you know, not get a job. I was gonna go at the laser engraving full time and see if I could, you know, make it a real business. And I wasn't paying myself anything, I was just paying my bills, and that was it. So a group of us opened a co-working space on Harvey Road. And through that, I had met Brad Dobbin. His father had owned ND Dobbin, the construction company. He offered me space in his building when I moved out of MUN. And from there, he didn't charge me rent for, I think, the whole time I was there, a couple of years. He gave me basically looked like a shipping container space, narrow and long. And I moved all my stuff in there, and that's where I worked full time, just myself. And then in 2013, bought a CNC machine. It's like a CNC router. And that was my second piece of machinery. And from there, it kind of offered more services, more different things I could do. Started making furniture, custom, small, like interior signs, that type of thing. And just got busier and busier. Started, you know, I'd have work term students or maybe one employee here or there, but mainly just myself. 2015, moved to Empire Avenue. Signed my first real lease, real money, real rent. Pretty scared at the time, you know, figuring out how am I gonna pay that kind of rent. You know, just making those kind of leaps as you're going. The one project I remember like that really sticks out as like the power, I guess, of putting things out there was I was making custom name badges. I think it was for TEDx, when a friend of mine was running TEDx, like the original TEDx St. John's that started here. And I would just take photos of the custom badges I made for them, and then a company down in New York found them online and they were putting up this kind of high-end conference in Montauk. And they saw them and it's like, oh, this is the guy that does custom conference name badges. And I made them, I can't remember, hundreds of wooden name badges for people. You know, the names were Google and Microsoft, like, you know, all the big names on it. A couple days before, or like the day before the conference, some changes happened and they couldn't, some people were added and some people couldn't go, and they needed new name badges and they had to match everyone else's. I was like, yeah, I can get them done, but you know, I can't even airing them like overnight. They're not gonna be there in time. You have to get them to New York and then drive out to Montauk. So they said, okay, fine, make them and we'll fly you out. So I made them, got on a flight, and they just picked me up at the airport. You know, like it's like 10 or 11 at night, and they drove us right to Montauk, and just to deliver name badges. And that was it. I stayed the weekend, and then they you know, did whatever, and then they flew me home. You're just putting things out there. Even at the time, anyone could have done it, but you know, you brand yourself as doing a specific thing, people find you, and then you're the person that does it, right? I've always known like what looks good and what doesn't look good. It's been refined over years of designing things and seeing good design, seeing bad design. Even if I can't design it myself or communicate how it should look, I know what looks good and what doesn't. I think and that paired with, you know, some people tell me are high standards. Going way back as a kid back to, you know, just like learning to draw and things like that. It's always been something that's been there. It's always been designing, drawing, sketching, which I'm a terrible sketcher drawing. I can't at all, but you know, picking up, you know, Photoshop and Illustrator as, you know, being in elementary school, probably one of the first, or I don't know what version of Photoshop it was, but you know, way back in the day. Yeah, just always designing stuff, always drawing things. Obviously today, I'm more running the business, not as hands-on in the design. Obviously you learn new things every day. You have to keep growing. What I'm most excited about going forward is going to be the growth. You know, I still consider us to be a young company, even though, you know, 11 years in. But I've never stopped pushing to grow. I've never gotten to a size or a space or a physical, you know, number of employees or a physical size, you know, in the shop that, you know, okay, this is good. This is going to be it. I put the growth of the business over, you know, my personal pay, you know, I was here late last night. I was here really early this morning. It's every single day. I don't know what else I would do. You know, I don't think I could go get a job. I don't know what that would even look like, to be honest. Like, you know, this is kind of really all I know. It's something I've wanted to show for a long time. You know, showing what we do as a business, how we make things and what we do, and kind of what is involved with making the different types of signs that we do and the different services we offer. You know, educating the public or clients or potential clients as to like what really goes into making a sign. It's not just hitting a button and you get your sign. There's multiple steps. There's craftspeople involved. There's welding, woodworking. There's fabrication. There's so many parts to it and skills involved. Yeah, I want to show people that working in the sign industry can be rewarding, and there's multiple different parts of the sign industry that you could be involved with, from, you know, obviously an owner to graphic designer, running printers and laser engravers. You could be an account manager, you could do sales, you can be an installer, being outside all day, you can travel, you can be in the shop fabricating, welding, you can be a woodworker, you can be a carpenter. I don't think people consider or think of the sign industry as something that, you know, you can have a career at. And people don't think about it until they see, you know, our content or things like that, and then they start noticing the number of signs that are out there. You know, if you drove up Cammount Road and there wasn't a sign, you know, it would look very different. So starting to think about and showing people what goes into all that type of thing, so that we can grow, so that we can provide better services for our clients. We can provide a better workplace for our employees.